Hello, I'm Dearlove. My guest today is CK Prahalad, who tops the Thinkers 50, making him the most influential thinker in the business world. CK is the author of, among other things, The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid, Competing for the Future, and The New Age of Innovation. CK, welcome.
Thank you.
I've just said there that you're the most influential management thinker in the world. Presumably that puts a bit of pressure on you.
Not really. I think if you think of it as a big obligation rather than as a privilege, then I think it's a nice spot to be in, but it's also a big responsibility because people might take you seriously.
Well, they certainly took The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid, which is probably now the book you're best known for. Certainly a lot of people have taken that very seriously. The subtitle was How to Alleviate Poverty, I believe. Were you surprised at the impact that book has had?
In an interesting way, I was. I'll tell you why. If you look at the thinking till that book and the article that preceded that book came out, it's all about only 8 years since that has happened. The thinking around the world was the poor are wards of the state. They need help. Subsidies is the way to go. And so there has been a whole range of effort by developmental economists, multilateral institutions, aid agencies, philanthropists that has gone on for 50 years. And to be able to come and say there may be another way of solving this problem, not for all 6 billion people or not for all 5 billion people, but 90% of them can be solved in a different way, was quite radical. So one was never sure whether it's going to be an acceptable thesis. But surprisingly, multilaterals, many NGOs, a lot of companies have come to accept this. So aid agencies now ask the question, are we creating a market-based system? Can we create transparency? Can we build capabilities? So from that point of view, it was a big surprise. And the second surprise for me is while ideas like core competence, co-creation have all become part of the lexicon, they took a fair amount of time. But bottom of the pyramid, or BOP, has become part of the lexicon in a very short period of time. That's also good news. So those were two surprises, pleasant surprises. But 5 years into this start of the book as a way to change the conversation, I am surprised at how many companies have small initiatives going, starting to understand how to participate.
I mean, that's something I was going to ask you about, because it was 2004 when you first published the book. You're now publishing a new edition in 2009, 5 years on. What's changed in those 5 years?
I think 3 or 4 things have changed very dramatically. When the book was published, there was still, people appreciated the book, and if you remember, I made sure I put videos with it so people can see it, feel it, local languages, local color. So it was not just dry reading. You could also participate in understanding how these things are happening. And I decided only to show them success stories. It is very hard to motivate people by saying these are 9 ways in which you can fail. These are 3 ways in which you can succeed. So if you look at what has happened since the book, 3 questions that everybody had in their mind have been answered conclusively. 1, is there a real market? Can you make profits? And will the poor accept new technologies? The revolution that wireless has brought, 4 billion people connected in the world, has proven that all this is possible. Certainly, the poor are accepting new technologies, whether it's in sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa, Indian villages, Latin American villages. People accept new technology. They're finding new applications. There is a huge market. Just in India alone, they are putting 11 to 12 million new subscribers per month, not per year, but per month, demonstrating that if we hit the sweet spot, suddenly this market is real. And most importantly, companies are making money here. whether it's MTN, Celtel, Safari.com, Airtel, Reliance, Globe in the Philippines, all of them are making money. And more importantly, the market capitalization of these companies is real. Just 4 companies in India, which didn't exist 15 years ago, now have a market capitalization in a depressed market of $45 billion. So those questions have been answered. More interestingly for me is suddenly iconic innovations like Tata Nano, which is creating an inflection point in the global auto industry, came from there. Because somebody said, instead of people going with 4 kids on a motorbike, can we give a car? Now, $2,000 car does not mean that all poor people can afford it. But it's the aspiring middle class. Maybe in India, not 1 billion people, but 300 million people can aspire to this. Why is it so interesting? Tata Nano received $600 million in advances so that they can take delivery of the car in 2011. Now, that is an interesting perspective on the global auto industry. Everybody has shutting down plants, giving concessions to people to buy cars. But here people are giving them money so that they can get delivery in 2011. So there is something here that I think causes us to pause and ask a question. Is there something that is happening in this market that we ought to be sensitive to as managers, as practitioners, and also as academics?